And just like that, we're back, Jack. The holidays, they can no longer hold us down. I'm Doug Branson. I'm joined by Evan Hale. This is Every Hornets Box Score, but you know that because you've been supporting this little thing that we've been doing for a long time, and we appreciate your support. And I don't want to speak for Evan right off the jump, but I'll say I'm coming to this podcast with a big sigh of relief that it seems like our baby boy, Con Knueppel, our baby star, Con Knueppel, is going to be okay after that vicious ankle injury that we all witnessed, that ankle turn. It honestly, any ankle turn with the Charlotte Hornets is vicious because we've had to witness so many of them. But it seems like he was at some kind of Myrtle Beach basketball classic and he was walking around looking good. He's out for tonight's game against the Milwaukee Bucks. But it seems like they've avoided both the worst case scenario in terms of an ankle break. We knew that very quickly afterwards. But also it seems like we're avoiding and we don't know, we don't have a definite timeline on his return, but it seems like we're avoiding the 4 to 6 week kind of grade 2 ankle sprain that keeps guys out for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of like a death sentence sometimes with the Hornets. But the ankle sprains and the ankle rolls are so strange because some guys can do that and look exactly the same and be out for months, and some guys can do it and be back in a game or two. So, Con was his high school, which his brother's on the team. They played at a local basketball tournament. It was local to me. I had some friends who were there. They saw him there. I'm battling this illness, so I didn't get to make it. But they said he wasn't in a boot. He wasn't on crutches. He was walking around with his parents. Actually, they said his brother rolled his ankle during the game, and he had to get help off the court. So it's a bad week for the Knueppels, it seems like, playing some basketball.
I think they'll be fine. I mean, I've seen his brothers play. I think that whole family is going to be fine for a very long time. The Hornets, they look really fine right now. I wanted to mention Con to open the show, number one, because it's on everyone's mind. Can't wait to see him get back out there because he's been, just the lead up to the injury where he scores 16 points in the first quarter, and then to have that happen, I'm sure every single sicko at the same time, it was like one of those sci-fi television shows where a large group of people get taken over and they all say the same thing at the same time. It's like Pluribus. I'm watching Pluribus right now. It's like Pluribus. Everybody's talking as one. As soon as he hit the ankle injury after going for 16, I'm sure everyone said, we can't have nice things. Why can't we have nice things? This is absurd. Okay, so I wanted to start there and just say, all right, we're breathing a sigh of relief. It seems like we can all move on. And we can also recognize that this team is playing a lot better. They're playing a lot more balanced basketball over the past 2 weeks, and they get that huge win over the Orlando Magic. It doesn't shock me that they won this game. It doesn't shock me that the Hornets, I guess if they beat the Thunder, that would shock me. If they beat, the top teams in the West, that would shock me. But to beat any team in the Eastern Conference would not shock me. But to beat the Orlando Magic 120-105, a team in particular in the Magic that the Hornets have had difficulties with because of the size that they offer. Evan, I want to open with this question. Are the Hornets a good basketball team?
No, but they are a fun basketball team. This is when
I was just checking. I just wanted to check.
Yeah. When we started this podcast this beginning of the season, I said there was a couple things I said, and one of the things I remember saying was, I know the Hornets won't be good, I want them to be fun, and they're doing that. We're winning games, which fun teams can win games. We're 5-6 in this month, where we won 4 of our last 6. I don't think we're gonna be a play-in team unless the Bucks and the Bulls somehow blow it up. I think we'll be like the 11th seed. I think we're fun and we're better than the Wizards and the Nets, but we're not as good as the Bucks and the Hawks and even the Bulls. But we can still beat those teams. We can have a good time watching it. I'm having fun. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that we're not good. I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying it.
So I've got a tweet pulled up here from the great Sam Purley, Hornets.com writer. It says, over the past 13 games played, the Hornets have a winning record at 7-6. Stop the season. But start the season 13 games ago and then stop the season. The Hornets 7-6. The Hornets rank 15th in the NBA in offense, 8th in defense, and 13th in net rating. And let's see if I have this pulled up. It's not zoomed in, but it is pulled up. So over the last, now I've got to zoom out again so that I can actually see the teams. So over the last 2 weeks, the Charlotte Hornets are 6th in offense and 21st in defense, which honestly, like 21st doesn't sound great. But I mean, this is a team that spent most of last season near the bottom or at the bottom in defensive rating. So according to Cleaning the Glass, they're the 21st best team. I mean, Houston is 20th with the 5th best offense. San Antonio right now just blazing, 1st in offense, 2nd in defense. But so I agree with you. They are not a good basketball team. They are a fun basketball team. And here's the most important thing. They are an improving basketball team. And if I go back to that Pearly thread, Charles Lee and really the entire team put the onus on that loss that they took to the Chicago Bulls on December 12th, where they allowed 80 points in the paint, because that was a game where the Chicago Bulls said, literally every single Chicago Bull from guy number 1 to guy number 15 said, we're going to put our shoulder in your chest because we know you're not going to do anything about it. It was, and that was probably on their scouting report, because for so long, the Hornets have had a reputation of, if you get physical with them, they will back down. Now, there are certain players where that's a little bit of an exception. Moussa Diabate is one of those players, for sure. Brandon Miller can be that player at times. Grant Williams was that player, but he's been injured for a long time. Like, there are a couple of players that you can identify and say, all right, that's not the case. But on the whole, this is a team that has not been very reactive when it comes to physicality. But that game was such an embarrassing showing that everyone got together and said, okay, we've got to change something. I would also add, too, that Josh Green coming back has been a big part of that. Being able to bring a defender like that, a wing defender, off the bench, has just had so many ripple effects on their ability to just even barely defend, because they weren't defending at all. Now they sort of oscillate between defending well and barely defending, but barely defending is an improvement for this team. It has been fun to watch, and they've been improving too, especially Tidjane Salaun. I mean, he has looked better and better each and every game, Evan.
Mm-hmm. He's been amazing. He's been so much fun to watch. I mean, he started off like 6 for 6 for like 2 games ago. What did Eric Collins say? I got a man crush on Tidjane Salaun or something. Like, he would just official man crush. He's just looked good. He still looks like a I want to say he plays basketball like you know, a golden retriever puppy that's like 9 months old, so they're big, but they're still like a puppy. Sure. And they just run around. They get excited about things. That's how he looks like when he runs around the court. But he is making the right plays when he's doing it. So he still looks chaotic, but you see the thought process there.
I like that we have upgraded Tidjane Salaun, because the baby animal comparison that he would get a lot was baby giraffe, you know. And so I think we've upgraded him now from baby giraffe to baby dog to puppy. And puppies are generally a little bit more coordinated, I would say, than a baby giraffe. And we are seeing Tidjane Salaun both, I think, being more coordinated, being more deliberate, but also I just think experience is catching up with him in terms of him being able to pass out of the short roll. Like, I want to talk more about this on Locked On Hornets with Walker, but I think one of the biggest differences in how well they've been able to play offense it's been shooting for sure. It's always going to be shooting in the NBA, but the shooting, how is the shooting being generated? And it's being generated because Moussa Diabate, Tidjane Salaun have joined Knueppel in being able to pass out of the short roll and being able to get to the middle of the floor, draw some defensive attention, and kick out. And then the person that they're kicking out to is also being unselfish and completing the swing. And so those have been, to me, the two biggest things that have improved their offense. And Tidjane Salaun has been a big part of that. And that's not necessarily going to show up in the box score. You know I love things showing up in the box score. He's doing that. 14 points, 8 rebounds against Orlando, but only 1 assist. But I would say if you look back at the past couple of games, and if you counted some hockey assists up, Tidjane Salaun would be racking up more of those because he just has a better awareness. He's not putting himself in trouble trying to score and then trying to bail himself out with an awkward pass back to the wing that gets cut off because it's a bad angle. We're just seeing that less, and we're seeing more him executing offense, and that's a beautiful thing. I don't know if it's going to. I'm pretty sure he's not going to become a star player in this league, but for a guy that you draft 6th overall, for him to at least become a functional player would be an upgrade over some of the Kupchak picks that were made during that era where you couldn't even get these guys to be functional basketball players. So I feel like this whole episode has been like, relative to what we've seen in the past, this is great.
Our picks don't look terrible. Oh my God. No, I have done something personally with Tidjane where I think we had, so it was like the potential for Tidjane we were sold on. So we put higher expectations on him, even though we knew he was a project. I have adjusted it from Giannis to Jaden McDaniels. Just a lanky, defensive-minded guy who can hit corner threes, handle the ball a little bit. And he's a lot closer there than he is to Giannis.
Sure.
And a big
What's that? Hold on. It's the old Scalabrini. You know the Scalabrini quote when guys
closer to LeBron than you are to
me.
When
guys would try to challenge him, and pick up or different things, and they say, "Oh, I can beat Scalabrini." Come on, it's Scalabrini. He would always say, like, I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me. And he was right.
Yeah, no, he's a really nice guy. I've talked to him a couple times in the arena. Coolest announcer that I've talked to. But I think a big thing for Tidjane is he's making his shots right now. So the defense has to respect him. Yeah. And when the second they have to respect him, they can't just hold back on him and say, "Oh yeah, make something happen here, bud." And the second that they collapse in on him, he can make that pass, and that pass can go around. But yeah, the ball movement's been awesome, and you feel that with LaMelo on the court too, because it just he amplifies the facilitating of the team, and I think the team just passes the ball better. And it's partially an issue with Colin Sexton and Trey Mann, where I think they're ball stoppers in a way. So if you could just have a guy who doesn't stop the ball running your offense, which that sounds like a crazy concept, a non-ball stopper running the offense makes the ball move better? No, never. but you feel it when LaMelo's on the court versus Colin Sexton or Trey Mann.
Yeah.
I love Colin. I love his energy. You feel it in the arena. He's a good backup one. He's less of a ball stopper than Trey Mann is. But sometimes Trey Mann and him are on the court at the same time, and I'm like, oh, this offense isn't going to be nearly as fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a critical point. As I pull up Tidjane's shooting numbers, you can see the difference. 8 attempts unassisted, 17.8% from the field. That's not very good. And then 37 assisted, 82.2% on those shots. So he needs the ball facilitated to him. And I would say on those assisted looks, a lot of those are wide open looks because, as you said, defenses haven't respected him, but they are starting to. So we'll see as the season goes on, because there's always, for all young players, and Tidjane's a little bit of, well, I wouldn't even say a late bloomer. He's just a super young guy. So he's blooming, he just wasn't an early bloomer. All right. For all young guys, there is this unless you are a top prospect that, made runs in the NCAA tournament and everybody knows your game, like there's always this adjustment of like, all right, we're going to leave you open because we'd rather pay attention to LaMelo Ball. We'd rather pay attention to Brandon Miller, on and on. And then as you start to hit shots, okay, now the defense is going to adjust and you're going to have a little less space. What do? Do you have a shot fake? Are you able to pass out? Are you able to recognize? Can I shoot over the top? Can I not? Can I drive? It's going to first thing challenges you, like challenges your mettle in terms of like, will you take the open shot? And if you miss a couple of open shots, will you still take the open shot? And then the next level, as the defense starts to adjust to you, challenges your just knowledge of the game. And where a lot of guys get into trouble is if they do get hot like early in their career and defenses do start to challenge them before everything else is caught up, then all of a sudden they start to look like a bad player. And it's like, no, they're not really, they're going to be a good player. It's just like defenses are putting a lot more pressure on them right now than they're ready for. But with Tidjane, yes, he needs to be assisted to, going to your point. But right now, above the break threes, 43.8%. That's in the 90th percentile. Corner threes, he's shooting 50%. That's in the 89th percentile. Like when he gets open looks, you're right. He is absolutely knocking them down. But why I say I'm skeptical at this point that he becomes a star player is that unassisted number. He's just like, I don't know that all of that's going to come together where it's like, oh, he can create plays for himself all the time. That's what star players do. They can create for others, they can create for themselves, and you can't stop them. I think Tidjane Salaun is going to be a stoppable player, but if he can be a plus defender that can hit corner threes and get you some things in transition because of his size and length. And man, when he rebounds, I feel bad for the basketball. Like that dude rebounds harder. I mean, it's like one of those games at Dave and Buster's or something, where you have to hit the punching bag and it measures your strength. Like I feel like him and Musa are having that competition, but it's like, yes, exactly, grabbing the basketball but smacking it as hard as you can. Like when he gets a rebound, he's like, no, you're not. And I feel like that's trauma in some way. Like he's had a few stripped early and he's like, all right, enough. I'm not going to let this happen anymore. But yeah, man, you love his intensity. You love how hard he's playing, and you love the improvements that he's made and the control that he's playing under over these past, 10 or so games.
So Tidjane, how he plays, to piggyback off that, he plays like, when you like practice a sport and you're learning a sport and the coaches like over exaggerate the movements so you feel it. Yeah. He just plays like that. He's like, he doesn't like, file it down. He plays like, I'm going to squeeze the ball as hard as I can. Huge. I'm going to like the crossover. I'm going to cross over from the top of my shoulder down. And it's just how he plays. And, it suits him in a weird way. He's growing a lot. And I'm happy to see him succeed. I love him as a small ball five right now. With everybody hurt, because he spaces the floor, creates open attacking lanes for guys like LaMelo's been more active driving to the basket, driving kick opportunities because people have to crash in because there's no center in the paint. It's made the offense flow even better with him as a small ball five.
I love that coach. I think if I were to coach, I've coached one team. It was a 3 to 5 year old basketball team, and I was an assistant coach, but we won a championship. Okay, I have the ball to prove it. Everyone signed it. That's a trophy. Okay, we didn't get a ring, but I basically have a ring. Okay, so you can't question me. If I were to coach again, that is the kind of coach that I would be. Right, I would be the big movements. All right, you're here. Okay, and then you bring the ball down low here, and if they swipe, then you bring it up here. Like, that's exactly the kind of coach I would be.
You can hang a banner in the back. Just 3 to 5 year old basketball champion coach.
Well, you can't see it, but I do have one banner, and it's Shea Serrano liked our pod that one time. He shouted our pod out on Twitter, so we hung a banner. Maybe I'll get the full shot one day. You can see us see the banner of Shea Serrano liked our pod one time.
That's funny.
Okay, I want to get to a few other things. Well, first of all, just your stray observations from, we haven't been on in a couple of weeks now. I mean, stray observations, things you've liked, things you haven't liked past couple of weeks in Hornets basketball.
I've loved Khan. I've loved Khan. I'm just sad that I'm not getting to watch him play basketball tonight. I love the ball movement we've talked about. Tidjane as a small ball five was something I wanted to talk about, so I'm glad we talked about him. He's been a blast to watch, LaMelo has been a lot more controlled. He has his moments, but I feel like he's been a lot more controlled when he's been healthy, and he's been relatively healthy during this little winning stretch we've had. Brandon Miller, he has not been as consistent as I'd like him to be, but I feel like he does a lot of the small things you would want to see. He's been, a little. He misses the mid-range shots a little bit, and You get a little frustrated with that, but his ability to play some solid defense, especially like he's been getting a lot of stocks. He's been making some athletic blocks, athletic steals, helping the team get in transition, which has been nice, making up for some of his mistakes. The rookies have looked good. Obviously, Kalkbrenner's been great. Sion James has not let the shooting slump get to him. I think he still plays well. He was hesitating not shooting the ball for a while after he started off so hot and then slowed down. I feel like he's kind of come back around to shooting the ball. When we have seen Liam, I've really enjoyed watching him play. I feel like whenever he comes into the game, he's been like a spark plug.
Well, we're going to see more of him, right? Because he's going to take over at least some of Kahn's minutes. They recalled him from Greensboro. He's been pictured with the team. So we should see more of Liam. I'm interested in what they're going to do without Kahn. Should we talk about that? Like, what's the lineup? How is the lineup going to transition without Kahn in it?
I think either Josh Green or Sion will probably slide in the starting lineup. I kind of like Josh Green coming off the bench, but maybe with playing the Bucks tonight, they just go with the vet and start Josh Green, and then you're going to see a bump in Sion's minutes. And also, I see Liam kind of filling in off the bench, a little point forward. I'm excited about that too, because like we said with the ball stoppers with Sexton and Trey Mann to a degree, I think he is the opposite of that. He likes to move the ball, so he could be good for that second unit, getting some the ball movement and getting the offense really flowing.
Oh, against Milwaukee, they're going to need Brandon Miller to have a better game. Against Orlando, 5 of 16, 31% from the field, 15 points. Going to need a better game from him. LaMelo Ball's probably going to have to step up and get some of that scoring load. Colin Sexton too, but I don't. It's not out of the question. Giannis is back for Milwaukee, but if they can beat Milwaukee or if they can beat Orlando by 15, I mean, you have to give them a shot against Milwaukee. I don't know where the line sits right now for Charlotte. I would think that they're not favored, but at the same time, I feel like you got to give them a little bit of a shot. All right, before we end today's episode, I did want to shout out Roger of the 23rd Trey Mann division, who gave us something to chew on here that I think we can end the show with. Roger writes in, I was thinking about, excuse me, a sicko satchel question for the new year. This time of the year calls for creating New Year's resolutions. I was thinking, what would be your New Year's resolution for the Hornets? What would be the resolutions you would like them to create as a team in order to put a winning product on the floor? Merry Christmas and have a happy new year. Well, thank you, Roger, and thanks to everyone who supports every Hornets box score, the paid subscribers, the free subscribers, and the folks that get into the chat every single game and submit questions like this one. New Year's resolutions, what do you think?
People like to say they want to be healthier. Can we be healthier as a team? That'd be nice. Just continue consistency. If you want to be a little poignant there, continue consistency. The team has been very consistent in at least in an offensive mold. So continue to move the ball well, shoot the ball well, flow well as a team. If they can just keep this momentum going that they have right now, I think they could really end as even the 10 seed. I don't think that we end up in the play-in, but you see the makings of this team and what they could be. And you just keep that going.
Yeah, no, I think those are all good. Maintaining health, because I think they've gotten healthier with the exception now of Knueppel, but it seems like they've dodged the bullet there. Grant Williams, getting him back, that would be fantastic. But if I zoom out and talk about the entirety of 2026, because it's more than this season, it's the off season and it's the beginning of next season. I would say don't be afraid to make large changes, large renovations. It's funny. I thought when we were talking about, is this a good team or not? It's like a house with good bones. They say that, oh, this house has got good bones. Usually a real estate agent trying to sell you a terrible house. It's got great bones. Don't worry about that wall that seems to be falling down. It's got good, but behind the wall, good bones. So I think this team does have good bones. But the thing with those houses, if you buy them, maybe they do have good bones, but you're going to have to sink a lot of money to make that house livable. And you're going to have to make a lot of changes. And you cannot fall in love with everything inside the house. So my New Year's resolution for the Charlotte Hornets, particularly the front office, would be to keep your minds open. And I feel like I'm telling them something that I believe they already know. But keep your minds open. Don't fall in love with, particularly if they continue on this run and, stay competitive. All of that's great for building the culture. But understand what truly wins in the NBA. Atlanta's having this conversation right now around Trae Young. Do they pay Trae Young a lot of money? Do they even keep Trae Young on the team? And the answer seems to be like, Trae Young, thank you for all that you've done. But in terms of what works in the modern NBA and the level of defense and physicality that's necessary to win playoff series, don't know if Trae Young makes a lot of sense for that much money. Not Trae Young's fault necessarily, although I guess he had many opportunities to learn how to play defense and commit to that end of the floor. But the NBA has changed underneath his feet. We saw this happen to centers so many years ago. The ones that didn't learn how to shoot all of a sudden got left behind. And for some of them, it was too late. But teams weren't afraid to make those changes. They weren't keeping plotting centers with no offensive upside just because they've contributed a lot of rebounds. They're part of the heart and soul of this team. Sometimes when you want to get serious about winning, you have to make those difficult decisions about players who have contributed a lot to this roster, who are fan favorites. And so, I would say, don't be afraid to spend money. Don't be afraid to make those wholesale changes, because with Knueppel, with Brandon Miller, now I throw Tidjane Salaun in there. You've got some good bones. Sion James, Ryan Kalkbrenner. You've got some good bones here, but the work is not even close to being finished. Because look, you could wait 3 or 4 more seasons for those 4 rookies to come along, progress, and the rest of your rookie selections to continue to progress. But at some point, if you want to get serious about winning and not make the same mistakes that Kupchak and company made, you're going to have to get serious about retooling this roster around players that have won, that have been there, that have done that understand what it takes and are bigger, stronger, more physical than what this team has to offer right now. Because you're right, this is a fun team, and now they've added competitiveness, they've added pride to the fun, and if you do that, if you're a fun team that shoots well and you take pride on the defensive end of the floor, you can win more regular season games than maybe your talent level says you should, or that your previous past says you should. You can win those regular season games. And I guarantee you, they'll win some in March. If they keep it up and they stay healthy, they'll win some in March. But it does not mean that this is a team ready to compete in the postseason. Just 2 different kinds of basketball. And I cannot stress this enough. And that's what this, honestly, if this podcast is anything, it is just a reminder to fans hey, there's playoff basketball and then there's regular season basketball. We must hold the Hornets to a higher standard of ball or they'll never get there. Mm-hmm. And so that's my long-winded resolution for the Charlotte Hornets. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, no, it did. And I will say I have been blessed enough to, do some – I met the owner, just kind of how I got popular in the community and built a relationship with them. And now that I do the media on the sideline, pregame, I see them a lot. To the 7th, we played the Nuggets on the 7th, and I'll leave you with a nugget from that game. It was the day that Franz Wagner got hurt, and I was talking to Rick Schnoll. He came up, said hi. We were talking. It was Josh Green was warming up. We were talking about Josh Green before he came back, but he was getting healthy. We were talking about Franz Wagner getting hurt. He mentioned it to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I saw." They thought it was an ACL at first. Thank God it wasn't, because even if I don't want to see anybody get severely hurt,
Sure.
But the Hornets have the swap between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Magic, I'm pretty sure, is what that swap, and the Suns, whatever that swap is, when we traded Mark Williams. for this year. And Rick Schnall was talking about how the draft situation and how we have their pick, we have that pick, and we also have our own pick, and was talking about, you know, looking forward with the roster and how we have these picks to look out for. And, you know, I got a little glimpse into their vision. Like, they're not trying to necessarily compete this year. They want to, they see that, you know, a play-in appearance this year would be fun, but it might not improve the roster like a good pick would this year. And this team now, you said the house has good bones. You could bring in one of these top 4 picks this year, and that could be a real interior designer for your bones. You know, and you could see that, and you hear that from the ownership, which is nice. Yeah, DeBonsa, AJ DeBonsa. Cameron. No,
you make great points. I mean, look, that's the goal. The rest of the season should be to get this team playing a brand of basketball that is sustainable, that makes sense for the future, even if the roster itself is not the exact right roster to execute that. What do I mean? I mean, guys are being more disruptive defensively. Right now, their steal percentage 28th in the league. Can that improve? Brandon Miller being healthy would certainly help that. Free throw attempt rate, 18th in the league. Can that slightly improve? Can they become more physical? Can they drive to the rim and get fouled? Because they're already a great rebounding team overall. And really, the biggest thing, I think, is can they get their turnovers under control? Right now, 24th in the league in turnover percentage because they're moving the basketball, but they're turning it over too much, and the turnovers are not necessarily correlated with how much they're moving the basketball. They can move the basketball well, and then when they decide not to is when the turnovers start to stack up. So can they play a more disciplined brand of basketball as the season goes on? You know, that's a question. Establishing a way to play that, again, doesn't necessarily match the roster, you know, I think that's going to be important to watch out for and say, all right, yeah, they've got the right ideas, they've got the right coach, and now they need to go out and find the right players.
Yeah, you see that and you feel that, and I some guys are question marks with that. You know, we talk about LaMelo getting moved all the time. I will say, you were talking about how Trae Young could have been better on the defensive end. I've been courtside watching Trae Young and LaMelo warm up this season. Trae Young is a head shorter than I am, and LaMelo Ball is a bit taller than I am. So LaMelo Ball has at least the physical ability, you know, the physical length and the ability where if you put that effort in, especially with the team, if the team can play better offense without him, it will allow him to play better defense. Because I think some of it is effort, some of it is, you know, I'll want to, and that's a question with LaMelo. But you see, like, guys like James Harden, who had to be a whole offensive engine, decide not to play defense because they had to be an offensive engine. Can the offense be self-sustaining enough that LaMelo Ball can want to put in that effort on defense and choose to? And that's where the questions are.
Yeah, and before you say James Harden never won a championship, he won playoff series, and I would take that.
He took the 2017 Warriors as Game 7.
Yeah.
So, with the injured Chris Paul.
Yeah, now, you know, can LaMelo, because that's we're a little bit talking two different levels there, because like LaMelo for stretches has played Hardy and level offense, and it almost snuck him into the All-Star game last season. Doesn't appear that that's going to happen this season. I saw he was 11th in fan voting, so it doesn't seem like fans are as excited about LaMelo Ball as they were last season. He's behind Michael Porter Jr., Siakam, Jalen Johnson, Cat, Jaylen Brown, Mitchell, Cunningham, Brunson, Maxey, and Antetokounmpo. So, like, yeah, I mean, he's not. It's going to be very. His road to the All-Star game is going to be very difficult, but he does have some name recognition. As great as Khan has played, he is nowhere to be found in the first fan returns for All-Star voting. So, you know, just goes to show you. Name recognition matters.
Name recognition for sure, but also, I don't know if you voted last year. I voted every day because I just like to do it, support the Hornets. When you do it on the app, it goes by scoring, and he was leading the Eastern Conference in scoring. So he was the top of the list every time he pulled it up.
No, we made that point on Locked On Hornets. We wondered if that was a factor because some people will go on there, say they're Bucks fans, and they want to vote for Giannis. And they've got to just go. They're like, some people, I think you can just go and vote for one player and you don't have to fill out a whole ballot. But a lot of people don't assume that. And so they'll just go through and be like, all right, yes, Giannis, great. And so him leading the East in scoring was a big factor in that, I think. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of Every Hornets Box Score. We are healing, as you could hear on our microphones at times. The show is healing. The Hornets are healing. We're all healing together. And we hope to do more of these podcasts in 2026. Please keep supporting everything we do here. Paid subscribers, free subscribers. We thank you. And we will see you again, hopefully next week, here on Every Hornets Box Score. And until then, go Hornets, go America. Let's swarm Charlotte.